So now, we'll call the meeting to order. 7:02. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No. I get a motion to accept the minutes as been distributed to you.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any corrections to the, anybody have any corrections to the minutes? None? Hearing none? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. All right. We'll have citizens' comments.
Kevin Road, 1405 Graymore Way. I just had a couple questions, well, I guess statements. Well, first off, is there going to be anything added to the agenda tonight, or is what we got it?
I didn't have anything else. I don't think we have anything else added.
Okay. I was looking over some of the budget transfers, and I saw that, it said one of them was special events held at the park, hours not budgeted. I was just wondering, were those town special events? Well,
we're gonna get into all the budget transfers. We'll get into that when we. I can't answer all those questions for you.
Okay.
So what we'll do is when we go through the department heads, some of the counselors have some questions as well for some of the department heads. So your question should be answered in there. If you have some specific questions, you can list them now, and then hopefully they'll be answered when we go through the department.
Yeah, I mean, one of my questions is, I'd like to know what the special events were. Was it something the town got paid for? Was it a town function? I was just very limited on information there. My second question was mowing of Chase Cemetery, $2,800. I know that was probably just a budgeted expense, and we might have had to mow it once or twice more. The second part was mowing of town cemeteries. That was considerable, almost $11,000. Normally that's in the budget for the highway department to take care of, so I hope that gets asked if it got omitted out of last year's budget. And then overtime for labor for snow, for the highway department. And it seems like we've been over on overtime and labor the last couple of years in the highway department. I'd just like to know if we're not budgeting correctly. Other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Fred Birch, Plainville Road. I just wanted to say thank you to the supervisor for reaching out to me on the situation with with Church Road there.
And I'm still working on it, by the way.
And that's why I just wanted to ask you if you had any updates. So if Mark or anybody would like any of my input or meet with me out there or anything like that for any insight into it, then certainly extend them, my phone number or email or anything of that nature.
Because I am still working on it, but like with anything, they have to, county government has to go through, but he did, when I met with him, he took copious notes, and he had some suggestions, I had some suggestions, so I'm going to follow up with him. I wanted to give him a little time, though.
Sure, and I appreciate that. I just, lately, the last month and a half or so, like between my door and my driveway is the area, the sidewalk area. So I've been like running back and forth, jogging a little bit faster, when I go out there each time. So, but I appreciate that, and thanks for reaching out to me.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Jim Struznik, Dingle Road. I also had a number of comments about the budget. If you discuss it more, particularly the cemetery situation.
Okay.
I thought at one time we limited the number of mowings at Chase Cemetery per year and therefore budgeted to it. So why we had extras. But I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Mr. Hall, would you like to join us? We can slide your seat up here. Pull a chair up.
We're really talking about cemetery.
Any more comments from anyone? Any other citizens? All right. We'll move on to my comments. Councilor Kudaraskis and I attended the training for the associations of towns in New York City, and I think both of us took about a dozen courses, and the Associations of the Town puts on very comprehensive, well-done training, and it was a real help to me, and I think that Councilor Kudaraskis will also shares that sentiment, and it was well worth the time and effort and money that we put into going down there. It's about all I have for today, other than, we're still continuing to work on some comprehensive plan to try to update our highway fleet, because one of the things that we certainly don't want to get into is this type of situation that the city of Syracuse is involved in now. So in order to address that, we had a highway committee meeting, and we're starting to work on a plan to address some of the older equipment in the highway department. That's all I have. Councilor Kudaraskis?
Like Supervisor Wicks just said, we attended the meeting this week, Monday and Tuesday in New York City for Association of Towns. Learned a lot of good stuff. I came in today to pick up some stuff, and I had a chance to talk with Tony, our parks supervisor, and he was telling me about the GEMS program for the girls, right? Some girls want to attend and they can't. So what I told Tony, and I'll tell the public, is I'm going to pay for one of the girls to go there out of my own pocket. So what I'd like them to do to qualify is write me an essay on why they want to attend and what it means to them, and get it over to Tony, and we'll select from there. That's all I have to say.
Great.
Great, good for you, Chad.
Councilor Moore?
Yeah, I just, first I want to thank everybody for coming and everybody for watching. It's good to hear that you guys had a good time in New York, that you learned a lot. As I told you both, they run a great school down there, and it's good that well worth every penny spent to have you down there. So, other than that, I'll stick to the agenda.
Okay. Councilor Jurassic?
Yeah, my only comment is a regret of not going this year. My schedule didn't permit me, but that Association of Towns, when I first became a town councilor, it was like, oh my goodness, this is just what you need in terms of realizing how broad the scope is in terms of the work that a town is involved in, and so that association is really there to help. So I plan to go next year.
Okay. Councilor Diamond?
Just like to take a minute and thank our highway superintendent. He made himself available last Saturday. We had a long conversation about the fleet and about some of his plans moving forward with the highway department. And so I just wanted to thank you for spending a couple hours with me on a Saturday morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Move on to department reports. Mr. Rosigno?
Well, other than to report, I think I've already told you that the town of Van Buren has signed the intermunicipal agreement, which we will have on the agenda for us next meeting.
Great.
The Parks Department has 3 job postings. We posted them up at the highway, outside the Parks office, on our website, the town's website, and on our Facebook page, where they can get an application and find out the job posting. We have a full-time seasonal park crew leader that's going to be posted for the summer. We have a part-time seasonal position park attendant. One of the guys is stepping down from park attendant, so we have an opening now, and also a part-time park laborer. Those positions are all posted, and if anybody has any questions or they want to get an application, they can go on our website or stop by the parks office and pick up an application. Also, too, we contracted and partnering with the Central Food Truck Association. They're a 501c3. They deal with 18 different food trucks. They're going to be up at the park when the Strait Park opens, all the way till it closes on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, anytime between 10 and 7 p.m. There'll be a food truck available. Also, the smaller food trucks, we're trying to get up there when school lets out on Mondays through Thursdays if they're available. So they can be up there anywhere from 7 days a week, but mostly they're going to focus on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays being up during the hours of the Strait Park. They're also going to partner with us with special events, which they will either give us a $75 flat rate for 10% of sales during our special events. And that was all discussed during our commission meetings that we've been having on Monday nights. So good things are happening at those meetings, and we're looking forward to more good things happening with the parks.
Some of the questions came up about parts of your budget that they're transferring. Do you want to address that? Can you explain, you heard some of the citizens' comments. Do you want to address that at all?
Which one do they have questions on?
It was,
It's on page 2. It's you're spending about an extra $5,000 that you unallocated special events held at park, hours not budgeted. It's about $5,000, Tony.
I didn't have $5,000. I had I don't have what you have in front of you. Basically, I have park laborers, park attendants that we're putting money back into that account. With the park labor position, we had 3 special events at the park this year. We had the Little Kids Big Truck event, we had the Strait Park grand opening, we had to reschedule the fireworks, so we had staff up there that wasn't basically, those events weren't really budgeted for. Also too, we worked with the engineer on drainage districts and trying to maintain drainage districts, and some of that money from the drainage districts has to go back into that account to help pay for some of that as well. So as far as that goes, as park laborers, those are just things that were not budgeted for or not foreseen when we were planning out the summer. As far as park attendants, we had park attendants that were working. They helped again with special events, parking, things like that. Also too, they get reimbursed for the hours that they put in overtime for Pop Warner. That money has to go back in there. Pop Warner paid us, so money has to go back into that account to help offset the balance of park attendants. We pay for the park attendants up front. Pop Warner reimburses us for the use of our attendants later on. Concert series, we went over just about $500 on that. The insurance for the concert series went up. Also too, we booked another band, and that money was in a savings account, so all we have to do is transfer money over from the savings accounts to cover that balance. But we're working with a 501c3 so that we can get out of the concert series and handling the money with the concert series. As far as our...
So the concert was an additional money, you had money to cover?
We had money to cover that, right.
All right.
All the money that we have is just basically in a different line item that we're transferring back. One of the things that we did is we took money from our maintenance account to cover a park project, and we went over, we didn't finish the park project, so we're just putting money back into that account to cover anything that we might have overdrawn in that area.
7310-109, which is your
Payroll.
Yeah.
Other 2106 was the cost.
That's the amount you went over.
Right, in payroll, basically that does anybody that works for us that's on payroll. And instead of contracting with them, we put them on payroll. What we'll do is we'll take from our contract money that we had money in that account, and we'll just reimburse the payroll account. So if you worked a program, or if you were doing anything from concert series to working a special event for us and you were on our payroll, we'll take from the youth program money and put it into that account to offset that.
So the point is, you're not budgeting enough, so that's the problem.
Right, we try to stay, I try to stay, that's all budget, it fluctuates, but I try to stay within that number, and obviously with special events and things that were happening this year and rescheduling special events, we need staff to work them, and we...
So I think one of the questions was well, I hope that you answered the questions, but, we'll just address that in the upcoming budget then.
Right.
To make sure that we try to
And
address some of
the
these issues.
Yeah, some of the stuff that we're not doing again, we're not gonna have another firework night, we're not gonna have another spray park grand opening, the Little Kids Big Truck event. We know that that will be a yearly thing that we do budget for. We'll look ahead, especially with minimum wage increasing this year, so it's something that we definitely looked at. So 2 out of the 3 special events we won't be doing this year, and that was obviously something that we didn't really foresee when we put the budget back in August of 2018.
So could I ask you a question, Tony? I mean, having been in the business, I know these kinds of things happen, and the good news is you had money in other accounts to basically offset them.
Right.
So my question there, though, is, so for example, you had we're moving $3,065 from contractual programs. What would you have normally spent that contractual money on?
Again, instead of putting them on payroll, we would contract. So if you were a contract vendor, we'd pay you out of that account.
Okay.
So one account is for payroll purposes, the other one is for contractual, if you're a vendor, and we can pay you out of that.
Okay.
And that one is typically a little bit higher, because contractors tend to charge a little bit higher.
I mean, since they're all I guess I almost wish you didn't say that special events held at the park were not budgeted. And in fact, they were budgeted because you had enough money in these other accounts that were basically personnel accounts. One was contract, one was... It almost makes you look bad if you say that. I understand that you had a night, for example, that you had it restaffed for the second fireworks night. I get that. But you had a buffer for it. You had money that you were able to transfer out of another account. So
The point is,
go ahead.
is that we're trying to eliminate that kind of thing from happening.
I understand.
And budget the right amount on the right line to start with. That's
Well, that's exemplary, and all I would say to that is I'm understanding enough that if you can do that, great, but you're never going to know when it's going to rain, and you can't do a fireworks show, and you have to spend another $500 on staffing on a second night. So I'm basically supporting you on this.
Listen, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else?
No.
Mr. Hull?
Not much to tell you that you don't know about, what we've been having lately. Yes, we kind of watch with interest what the city of Syracuse is doing with some of their trucks, considering that their fleet average age, they try to keep them 10 years. And last week, we just sold 2 of ours that were 18 years old, so your comment earlier about trying to update our fleet is well placed. We don't want to get in the situation there. It's been a little lighter winter than normal, but it only takes an inch or so to make it slippery where we have to go out. So trips through the town, I think today 58 were logged. So average winter is about 114, 110. So we're not really that far behind trips. Compared to, the snow event, it doesn't matter if it's this big or this big or this big, we still got to go to take care of the roads.
No one has a crystal ball, Jerry, but one of the budget transfers, and this is, I think, the second or third one for 2019, was moving $17,500 into the overtime account. And again, this is not a criticism. You have to send the guys out and the trucks out when you have to. But are you sensing anything about overtime and what's going on there? Like, you're not doing...
We're low right now.
This year, right? Yeah, that's good.
But last year was a lot different winter than this year.
Exactly.
And our fall wasn't too bad.
But programmatically, are you doing anything different than in the past, or are you pretty much doing the same?
When it warrants it, we have to call them out and go out. And this year, it's been a lot of weekend snow events, which costs us in overtime. The sun would be out all week, and so I don't know what our numbers are going to end up at, for the end of this year. But last year was just a snowier winter, more accumulation and that. And but I do know the overtime totals right now are lower than normal, by 50 hours per man.
Right. But nothing's changed, I mean, programmatically.
We're not doing anything different as far as how we handle an ice versus a snow versus a, it's all about public safety at that point.
Good.
If in doubt, you gotta go out. Take care of it.
Did you come up with that saying?
No, it's just true. If you're doubting yourself, you probably better send them.
Yeah, of course.
If I may, if I could add a comment or two about the overtime.
I don't set that number.
You don't. That's exactly right. I was just gonna say that. He doesn't give us the number. We come up with the number. When I say we, you guys. The tentative budget for 2019, I had put in a number of $95,000 for overtime. And when we sat down and we went through it, it was decided that was too high. So we dropped it down to 70. So that's why. And then it came in at $87,500. So that's it was a decision that we made.
I'm looking
to
at
lower that number.
I'm looking at 2018's overtime. It was 72,000, and that was a harsh winter. That was
Both the last two were pretty decent.
right. So at 87.5, that is for a mild winter. That does open your eyes a little bit. It does just make I'm not casting stones either, but it does make you look. Makes me look at the numbers a little closer.
During the 24-hour period, it depends on when the snow comes. If it's after 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we got to deal with it, that's overtime. If the first run is at 2 o'clock in the morning ahead of the morning commute, that's overtime. The only time it's not is during the normal daytime working hours, which usually, I'll just use today as an example, they were out early, ahead of, on overtime, and then at 9:30 they went through the town again. That was on regular time. See, so it depends on when the snow happens and when we have to go through the town. Sometimes you wait until it eases, so hopefully you only got to make one trip. Sometimes you hope that morning run takes care of it for the morning commute. You don't have to go again. I mean, it's Mother Nature's hands. It depends on when she drops it on us and when we have to deal with it as to where we are on the clock.
Yeah, that day I called you to be wingman. It was a Saturday, and the guys went out 3 times that day.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah.
So it's out of our hands. We just have to deal with it when we see the accumulations and, the slippery conditions. We have to deal with it. We don't look at the clock and say, oh, it's going to be overtime. No, it's street conditions dictate movement. So that number, you guys settle on that at budget time, not me. So.
Again, without belaboring it, so regardless of who's sitting in your chair, you or someone else, we're going to spend pretty much the same overtime year after year?
I would think so.
Okay.
Obviously the wages have gone up, which forces
Oh, of course.
which,
Right.
I mean, that's out of my control too, so.
Well, while we're talking about budget transfers, it's a significant amount of money. Are we just coding the road maintenance budget and the improvements budget incorrectly? We're moving $444,000 from the improvements code to the road maintenance code. And it's all for the same stuff. We're fixing roads, but are we doing?
That is partially what's happening, and I had a discussion with his secretary, my wife, that we need to pay closer attention to that.
Okay, because I mean, anybody that didn't understand this would say, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing?
But when it comes time to budgeting, I always combine the two numbers because I can't tell apart whether you're buying a set of this from this account or you're buying tar from this account, macadam from this account. So I just want to make sure that for 2021 that we're actually putting the right numbers in the right code.
And there is gray areas there, of course, as we work along, what do you want to charge this culvert off
Right.
under? What do you want to charge this load of stone off under, So there's some variables there. And honestly, when we're doing our road work, we do look a lot at it as one sum of money for the year for getting the road work done.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to.
And I might add, because you guys haven't said any final numbers yet, between the two numbers that we let him work with for maintenance and construction, came in about $11,000 that he didn't spend on those two line items.
And we were talking today, Mr. Rowley and I, and Mr. Hall, we've been talking, and we're going to try and like even with the parks, really get these numbers tighter. We're not going to get them 100%, but we're going to try and get them tighter so that these line items truly reflect what they're meant to be spent on. Now we're not going to be able to do it 100%, but we're going to try and tighten this up. And if we need to budget more in some line items, then that's what we're going to do. And we're going to come up with a formula on, if we need to put 87,000 in the road, in the overtime budget, well, we're going to have to do that, and then we're going to have to move some things around to get where we need to get. But I don't think that, or I think that we should try and get the numbers as accurate as we can so that when we give the budget proposal, the citizens can really see what we're spending their money on.
Maybe if we can continue on these budget transfers, because they apply to highways, and I think this is a philosophical decision we have to make. I don't know if we should make it for 2019, but I think you did a good job here, Jer, in basically identifying the fact that we spend about $11,000 mowing cemeteries with your highway crew. And the question I think for us to grapple with, and that's been done forever. But the question is it the right thing to do? And if we are going to use the highway department to do it, then we ought to have the highway department reimbursed for it. And that's what we're basically saying here, I think. Correct?
That's correct.
So
we have to.
Well,
we have to
It's
reimburse.
not really
We've never
my
done it
item
before.
in my budget.
Right, it's not a lot, we've never done this, Bob, and so.
We just turn in the time and the value of it.
Pretty sure you have to, right?
But we've never done it, and I'm agreeing with you. So I'm just basically saying that
We're going to do it in the future, let's put it that way.
I'll say this is the second year that we've done it.
Yeah.
All right.
But we
We
didn't.
had the same problem last year that we didn't budget.
So
but they turned in.
what I'm hearing is we are going to
Just like
budget.
snow removal here at the town hall. We plow
Right.
this, we shovel the walls.
Okay.
We try
That
to
we do
keep
take.
track of the man hours and
The cemetery thing seemed to got forgotten.
So for 2021, we're not going to see this. We're going to have.
You're going to see it in 2020 because we didn't do
We
it
forgot to do it in 2020, but 2021, we're going to budget it correctly, okay. And then as far as mowing Chase, that's another $2,900 that we are spending more. Can we just put another $2,900 in that budget
Yeah.
for 20?
Obviously, we're mowing it more than,
We haven't raised that in a while
Okay,
either, so.
so we just need to do that.
Part of that was we normally we stop mowing in October, and we had a pretty warm October, a dry fall, so we had to have a mow in October. We also had some trees come down that we had them clean up early in the summer.
and that's the private contractor cemetery.
Yes.
Just so we clarify.
So we had some unanticipated expenses in cleaning up some trees that blew over, and typically we don't have to mow twice in October. This year we ended up having to mow twice in October.
I went back and counted, we actually mowed 12 times.
We budgeted for 10 and
All right,
we mowed 12.
so for next year, we can budget for 12?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, good.
Plan and budget if something else happens to trees or something.
Yeah, and maybe have a buffer in there. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else? That's it?
So your question?
Oh, yeah, for the highway.
We did sell the 2 trucks. They went to Massachusetts, in case anybody cares. 2 private plowers down there use them. Good luck. One of them got driven to Massachusetts. He did make it. He was nervous. No one was there when they left.
You were very excited.
As long as you get out of the town, obviously. Made it past the town line, we were good.
Mufflers, don't worry, it's not that loud.
So you just did remind me, we can do this on item H, but the truck that we're proposing to buy for $215,037, that's what we budgeted for 2020? I guess I get so confused.
Well, the budget for,
Yes.
you're gonna love this, the budget for trucks and equipment this year for us was $215.
Okay.
As you can see, that's $37 more than that. the proposal we have, that I don't know if it's been placed in front of you yet or not.
They have it, but they haven't had an opportunity
Okay.
to look at it. So I think what we'll do is, yeah, we'll talk about that later because they can't even speak to it because I just gave it to them 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, Roman's aware of it. I know I went over part of it with him because it was a highway committee. He was unable to attend. So when we met, I went over what the highway committee talked about. So he's kind of up to speed on it there.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be questions and they'll be answered.
Okay.
But it's just a different way to use the 215. So we'll get to it.
Right, but for the record, this is what we budgeted for 2020.
215.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the 2 trucks that were sold, between the 2 of them was $9,150. That's what we got. So one was over $6,000, the other one was barely over $3,000. And I got to tell you, I would have rather had the $3,000 one if I had to pick one. So good luck to those fellas. And they seemed happy with your purchase, so you're good on it.
Just to back up, we sold your mower too. Right?
Yep,
That's
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
Mower.
The mower went to for $2,250.
Yeah.
Great, I'm done.
Good?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I'll figure it.
Mr. Yeager?
Nothing at this time.
Did we answer everybody's question?
No, actually, I have some questions for Al. Not for Al, but for you, David, which was the, actually, I'll ask him for Al. Just these district expenses, did anything happen, Al, differently in 2019? You know, it's 84 for Radisson and 83 for Fairways North.
Yeah, we did quite a bit of work.
Back here.
So these aren't, we're not.
Last page.
So I don't know how Dave necessarily sets this up in the initial budget, but we take in a fee every year, and this is the amount of work that we did, and then I think he just transfers the money from the unappropriated fund balance.
And that
for
unappropriated,
district.
that's in the district, that's the unappropriated fund balance.
In the district, yeah.
And I got it. Yep, I got it. Thank you.
Anything else? For Mr. Brown? Good? Ms. Falcone?
I don't have anything tonight unless you have questions about the cemetery or...
No cemetery questions? Good with the cemeteries. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda items. All right, may I have a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the revised 2020 fire protection agreement by and between the town of Lysander and Enterprise Fire Company Number 1, the West Phoenix Fire Protection Agreement. Schedule A should read as follows, with a 2% increase in consideration of the furnishing of such services and the use of equipment and apparatuses aforesaid. The town of Lysander covenants to pay for the term January 1, 2020, expiring December 31st, 2020, the sum of $110,618 on or before the 15th day of April 2020.
Go second.
All right, I'll move it.
Any discussion?
Well, I just hope this is the last reside.
Yeah, what this is, why we're doing this again, there was a typo in the first one that wasn't caught. So we have to revise that, the 2% increase. Somehow it didn't end up on the original document that we had a resolution for the last time, but this was agreed to by the previous board. So that's why we're doing it again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May I get a motion to approve the town clerk to attend the annual New York State Town Clerks Association 2020 conference at the Desmond in Albany, New York, from April 26 to 29, 2020. The cost of the conference is $125, and the cost of the hotel is $717, which includes all meals. Town clerk shall be reimbursed for mileage accordingly.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May I get a motion to hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 5th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the auditorium of the Lysander Town Hall at 8220 Loop Road to hear those for or against a local law to adopt a battery energy storage system model law for the town of Lysander. The town clerk is authorized to advertise the same.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Yeager, you want to just brief us a little bit on that, the citizens?
Sure. So we are seeing an influx of commercial solar farm applications at the planning board level. One of the things that we've learned is National Grid doesn't necessarily have the capacity to take all of the energy in from these systems during the daylight hours when they're producing energy. So in order for these entities that are building these commercial solar farms to be profitable, they need to get as much energy into the grid as they can. And one of the ways that they figure out how to do that is when there's limitations in how much the grid can take during the day, they generate the power, they store it in battery storage systems on site, and then release it into the grid at nighttime off-peak hours when there's capacity. With these battery energy storage systems, there's significant risk for first responders and environmental considerations that are covered in this law, so that we're protecting our first responders. They know what's going on, we know what's going on, and that's essentially what the goal is.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May I get a motion to release the punch list security requirement for the Highland Meadows Phase 2 subdivision as recommended in the town engineer's letter dated February 18th, 2019.
2020.
It says, okay, it says 19 on mine, but...
I'll move it.
The correction.
okay,
Yes.
2020.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May you get a motion to appoint Deputy Sheriff Tyler Myers to provide security for town board meetings and work sessions at the rate of $40 an hour with a 3-hour minimum effective February 20th, 2020.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Is the 3-hour minimum, is that the norm, or is it normally 2-hour minimum?
That's the norm.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, some places get 4.
Okay.
I think the deputies are giving us a little bit of a break. Sometimes it's 4. Correct, Sergeant? Yeah. He nodded in the affirmative. There was some discussion that Deputy Myers is related to one of the town employees. We do not pick who the deputies provide here. There's a deputy that's in charge of the detail. The deputy brings the individuals to the town board as long as they're certified police officers and there's no reason to not let them come in, then they're hired because it's their detail, it's not our detail. So we don't have any, the fact that Deputy Myers is related to one of our employees has nothing to do with us because we don't have any input as far as who comes in, other than we just want qualified people, and Deputy Myers is a qualified individual.
Mr. Supervisor, is he going to be covering DA nights as well? Because if he has done our court nights, then we need to put it in the resolution. Do you know?
What is that, DA nights?
Yeah.
Could I
I would
make
think
it an
another
and/or just in
sheriff could
case?
do it, then he would do that. So.
Well, you know what, that's a good question, and I don't know, so I think what we can do is if they do, we'll have to do another resolution if they want to come in, because I don't know the answer to that.
All right. Okay.
So, yeah, we'll find that out.
Or you could just authorize them, modify the resolution now and authorize them if they do assign them, then you don't have to do something retroactive.
Okay, what are we looking at, DA nights? Do you work DA nights, justice nights? Any other day than DA nights?
I think the court has every court night.
Okay, so work sessions. So was the objective to get Deputy Myers to fill in for you or Deputy Classy whenever you can?
That's my understanding. Deputy Classy hasn't gone over that with me, though.
Okay.
But that's my understanding.
All right. Well, I suppose we can modify, it doesn't matter, because we want a deputy here,
Yeah,
so.
just add it.
So we'll modify that to read,
Court sessions or something like that.
Justice Court.
Justice Court.
town board meetings, work sessions, and then where it says work sessions, or Justice Court. Okay, so it'll read, to appoint Deputy Sheriff Tyler Myers to provide security for town board meetings, work sessions, and/or Justice Court at a rate of $40 an hour with a 3-hour minimum, effective February 20, 2020. May I get a motion? Or did we have one?
We have one.
Oh, we have one already? Okay, and we got this. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May I get a motion to declare the old brown couch located in the rotunda surplus to be disposed of?
I'll move
I'll second it.
Second it, okay. Discussion.
There's a song about that.
So we are going to dispose of that, and we tried to get rid of it. So if anyone in the crowd or watching today would like that couch, you are welcome to it. All you'd have to do is give me a call. Other than that, we're going to dispose of it. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You're okay, we're all in favor. Abstentions? Motion carried. It is a nice piece of furniture, I gotta say. May I get a motion to amend the 2019 budget per the budget transfers as listed on the budget modification worksheets provided by the town comptroller?
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. May I get a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to sign the proposal from Tracy Road Equipment for the purchase of a 2021 Western Star 4700 single-axle truck and plow package in the amount of $2,015.37.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Okay. Any new business from the board? Nothing?
Well, the only thing I would bring up is just to remind us, and maybe Al's got an agenda here for us, but I'm just excited about getting started on the next phase of the comprehensive land use plan. So I don't know what comes next, if we need to appoint a committee, but I'm looking forward to participating in that discussion.
I've got some information that was forwarded to me from New York State that I'll get out to the board members on how that process works.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
I mean, I'm deferring to you on that, Bob, but I just assume that we just get started on as soon as we get.
No, we've been talking about it, we've been meeting, and is that something that you'll have for our next meeting?
Yeah, I'll get it out. I'll get it out.
Okay.
Remember, I'll send it out to them ahead of time.
Okay.
And with any questions, they can, just have them ready for the next work session.
Good.
No, there's a lot of things going on and with planning and things, and like Mr. Yeager said, there's a lot of interest in solar, so I think that it's important for us to get moving on that as well. So,
All right.
is there any reason to have another executive session? No.
To my knowledge.
No? Okay. Then may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. No abstentions? Closing it at 7:47. Very good. Thank you.